So thank you guys for listening. I'm forcing you to listen. I am Stephanie Laser. Most of you may know me from my 12 years in publisher AdTech, working at various different publishers and also helping with the creation of things like header bidding, et cetera, in the industry. And I've been at AWS for about 3.5 years. And when I came to AWS, I started working closer with DSPs and SSPs and understanding how they were built and understanding their infrastructure. So I think the ultimate question was like, to cloud or not to cloud, right? And we had a lot of customers who loved the cloud, very into the cloud, right? Some of the benefits that they often saw were they were able to enter new markets really fast. They were able to take off-the-shelf security tools and integrate them in with their infrastructure. They were also able to do something very interesting, which was trade fixed cost for variable cost. So this idea of having to go out and buy servers, right, and then make all this upfront investment only to have maybe that not work or that market not work. They didn't have to do that, right? They could spin up and spin down, and they could basically right size to things like variable traffic patterns, et cetera. And there was also this idea of innovation. So innovation on the cloud was a lot easier because similarly to the trading fixed for variable costs, when you wanted to innovate, you could build something, you could come up with a crazy new idea, and if it didn't work or it didn't meet exactly the market need, you can spin it back down. And this idea of innovation was very important to all of our cloud customers and very important, as you guys know, to our industry right now. But there was kind of a blocker, right? We had a lot of folks that still function on-prem, and that is because AdTech is very reliant on each other, right? Publishers are sending data to SSPs, SSPs are sending data to DSPs. When you look at other markets that use the cloud, it's not the same, right? You look at healthcare, you look at, a lot of them keep their data inside, but we're a community. We don't keep our innovations to ourselves. We oftentimes work with our partners to do them together. And so they found that co-locating in data centers or limiting the amount of networking that costs. So if you're unfamiliar with the cloud, one of the ways that they charge is by sending data out, you're charged networking costs. And there was also this idea, whether you were on the cloud or whether you were on-prem, that there was integration friction, right? So we had folks who were integrating and doing kind of duplicative work, and then that incurred operational overhead. So you had engineers who could have been spending more time innovating, but they were spending time doing things that kind of everybody across the industry was already doing. And that left the most important thing, innovation, out. We have a lot going on right now. I think a lot of you have been on the scene. You've been going to a lot of these different conferences, right? And you've been seeing kind of some of the chaos that's coming up. We've got industry standards forking, right? We've got supply chain pressure at an all-time high. Monopolies, they're getting remedied. And the agents, guys, they're coming, all right? And in this time of disruption, we're going to start to see opportunities, right? And when we start to see opportunities, we're going to have to lean on that thing that's more important than ever, and that's innovation. So today, we're going to help you at AWS to do the things you're already doing, but do them faster, with less latency, and at a lower cost. And that's AWS RTB Fabric. We spoke to our customers, we worked back from our customers, and we came up with a fully managed service, purpose-built for real-time bidding advertising workloads to meet the needs of this community. It provides a dedicated, high-performance RTB network and partner integrations that don't require you to be co-located, on-premise, or require large upfront commitments. So in RTB Fabric, you can connect and scale your RTB applications with your AdTech partners in hours, not months. You can also achieve single-digit millisecond latency between your partners, and that gives more time for ad decisioning on either end, right? we're seeing a trend of folks bringing AI into the decisioning logic, right? This is an area in which you would have more time to be able to add that advanced decisioning. You can also leverage a concept called modules that helps to improve the effectiveness of your ad transactions. So think about modules as a way to either filter or enhance the RTB request. And we're also going to eliminate 80% of cloud networking costs. So we've run AWS RTB Fabric in beta. These are some of our beta customers. I'm actually going to bring up Viant and TripleLift, and they're going to tell you a little bit about their experience with the product, because I think it's better to have a customer and not just me kind of talking to you about it. So there's two parts of AWS RTB Fabric. Everyone loves an architecture diagram, so I'm here for you, right? So the first is the RTB Fabric gateway. And here you can connect to partners that are inside of AWS, and you can also connect to partners outside of AWS, because I know that we're not always going to we want everybody to be interoperable in the community. This helps you to route traffic efficiently at single-digit millisecond latency. And this also has the concept of bring your own compute, right? So one of the things about compute is that you can make a large upfront investment if you make that, and that starts to, like, things are moving fast, the chips start to go out of date, and you wanted to upgrade to something that's a little bit more current. Bring your own compute gives you the flexibility to go on something like EC2 or Graviton. And we also automatically distribute traffic. So we're eliminating the need for load balancers, something that most infrastructure of RTB utilizes. It also has built-in observability, so you can see right there the CloudWatch logs, so that you're able to see that. And right in the middle is this idea called modules. And this is actually the thing that makes me the most excited. So AWS RTB Fabric includes modules. They help you to manage your RTB traffic based on patterns such as attributes, characteristics, and volume. And so they can either filter or enhance the RTB request. So currently we have 3 native modules that are built into AWS RTB Fabric. And that is the rate limiter, the open RTB filter, and error masking. So today I introduced to you our gateway and our native modules. Our journey of reinventing AdTech does not stop here. So our next expansion is that we're working on custom modules. So you can build your own modules and you can integrate them in with the RTB value chain. And then we're also going to launch the ability to use third-party modules. So this is the idea that you can use a partner for use cases like fraud detection, MFA, or custom curation or AI algorithms within the value chain. We're also working on prescriptive guidance for deploying pre-bid server on AWS, pre-bid server on AWS RTB Fabric. And then we're also going to show you how you can use some of our latest and greatest modernization tools for RTB on AWS Fabric. So I had mentioned this before. At Amazon, we're always working backwards from the customer. So this product would not be the product that it was today without hours and days of talking to engineers and CTOs from all of the greatest ad tech companies and saying, really, what do you need? How can you move faster? How can we make this work? And so the community-driven feedback for us is tantamount, right? Because as I said before, we're at a chaotic time. And in that chaotic time comes opportunity. And in that opportunity comes innovation. And we want to help you to get there. So I am going to bring out Sean Kumar, who is the VP of Infrastructure and Security from TripleLift, and Keith Petri, who is the VP of Product at Viant. And they're going to talk to you a little bit about their experiences with RTB Fabric. Come on out, guys. Hello, hello. You know, I'm not usually the interviewer, so. Oh. Let's start. So I think that we, like in the audience, we have folks who are like CTOs who are like deep in the weeds of their infrastructure, right? And then we have some folks that are more, might be more business leaders. And so I think maybe first we'll just kind of level set. What does the cloud enable you to do? And can you talk to me a little bit about some of the benefits of the cloud and using the cloud?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So look, TripleLift was born in the cloud. We're cloud native. We started on AWS. And the beauty of it is that we've been able to scale up from where we were 13 years ago as a startup with a few million ad requests per month to where we are today with 10 trillion ad requests per month, all within AWS. In practical terms, it means we have elastic scale without capital planning. In AdTech, traffic is unpredictable. Campaign launches, seasonal spikes, tentpole events, and real-time bidding surges all require massive over-provisioning on-prem. AWS lets us scale horizontally in minutes, not in months when we need it. We have a global edge without building it. Sub 100 millisecond response times matters in programmatic. And AWS gives us instant access to regions across the world without having to negotiate data center contracts. It's critical for us to compete globally. Innovation velocity, instead of managing hardware refresh cycles and capacity planning, my team focuses on what actually differentiates TripleLift, which is the actual engineering and building of products. Finally, financial flexibility, right? We have clear understanding and visibility into our cost and pricing. We're converting CapEx into OpEx. Right? We're optimizing unit economics, and we're maintaining the flexibility and optionality that we need. And on top of all of that, we have built-in compliance, security, DR failover capabilities, rapid scaling and experimentation, and then standard interfaces that all of our developers and engineers understand and know how to build on top of. Cloud isn't just about the costs. It's about competing at internet scale without the operational burden that would require me to double or triple my infrastructure team.
Okay, makes sense. What about you, Keith?
I mean, the first thing that drew us to partaking in this beta and running with RTB Fabric was just the opportunity of minimizing latency. That gives us so much more time at the bidder. Every millisecond counts. And so what Viant focuses on is supply quality, because you can't drive outcomes like we're talking about all day today if you don't have a real human behind the screen. And so by looking at Ari's amazing graphic from before. Yes, I mean, something I was going to touch on is that the growth of header bidding and the adoption was actually something that opened up and commoditized access to demand, but it also spiked QPS. And managing that as the platform grows means that you have a lot of intermediaries that could partake in that process. And so something that we are focused on is using different nuances that we can see through different supply paths and different attributes, whether it is from having direct publisher relationships through direct access and understanding ebbs and flows, or Viant's acquisition of both Locker and Iris with our publisher relationships there. That allows us to embed those learnings at the actual bidder so that we can make sure that we're buying high quality supply, and those milliseconds matter for us and our business.
So I'm hearing from you guys the flexibility is nice, right? The flexibility and kind of the ever-changing environment is why you really like the cloud. Okay. So on top of the cloud, when you've been working with AWS RTB Fabric, like what has been good about RTB Fabric? Do you want to start, Keith?
Yeah, I mean, we can move right on to cost, which I know a number of us in the room care about, but minimizing the costs associated with processing this vast amount of QPS is something that every business should take to heart. Right now, we should be focusing and investing in different areas of innovation, and obviously Viant has led the way with Viant AI. About a year ago, we launched Viant AI Planning. We also have bidding and measurement live. It's seeing wide adoption across our clientele. We have 85% of our campaigns are running with Viant AI bidding, which is generating a 46% efficiency in terms of media costs. And all of that is because we were able to reinvest those resources as a result of what we saw in terms of cost savings with Amazon RTB Fabric.
Okay.
Yeah, great question. I mean, we had already addressed the elephant in the room, right? Historically, data egress costs have been either the number one or number two line items for most ad tech companies, especially with the unfavorable pricing for our business models. RTB Fabric lowers that cost by up to 80%, which is huge. The shift from variable egress pricing to predictable transaction-based pricing, it better aligns incentives, and it allows us to easier forecast and budget, which our finance teams will love.
We always love something that our finance team loves.
I think the best part about it, though, is like now you have a programmable network edge with single-digit latency, reduced timeout. What that means is reduced computational pressure. So you have an extra 10 to 15 seconds of transaction budget. And what can you do with that?
Yeah.
Interoperability, you touched on that, simplicity in getting set up and running, and just the reduced operational overhead. I mean, that's the most important thing. And then on top of that, we're able to reinvest all of that into our AI platforms that we'll be launching in H1. Will be an end-to-end AI platform that enables deals, audience, and creative activations for all of our customers.
Yeah, awesome. So I think we talked a little bit about the cost savings and reinvestment, et cetera. So what are you looking to do in the future? What types of things are piquing your interest and are areas in which the investment will be able to kind of help you move into?
Yeah, I'll go first. I mean, look, the possibilities are endless. We now have the capability to make decisions at the link. So can we run identity, safety, and routing in line with modules? What does that mean? Again, fewer hops, fewer timeouts, cleaner supply. Everybody wins. We can do smarter in-path traffic shaping. What if we were able to take latency as a budget product, treat the reclaimed 10 to 20% network time as capacity, either add more bidders or give DSPs more think time, run more models, enable lightweight ML AI enrichment, and send richer bid requests, all chosen dynamically at auction time.
Yeah.
And then curation is a huge thing, but what about shared trust signals? Compute pre-bid, quality safety labels like IVT, suitability, viewability, attention, once at the edge, attach signed results to the request so that all DSPs can reuse the same signal. I mean, those are some cool things.
Yeah.
So you came out the gate with some really strong modules that are really off-the-shelf utility from day one. But what I was referring to before in terms of how Viant has incorporated supply quality controls at our bidder as a result of the additional time, we don't want to do that in our bidder. We'd rather build a module and build that into AWS Fabric for us to benefit from before it hits our bidder. If we can handle it at the load balancer, that's going to give us even additional cost savings and additional time for us to leverage other attributes to drive those outcomes for our advertisers. And I think that taking a step away from Viant and looking at it from an industry perspective, having this capacity where there are multiple SSPs feeding into a system that they already mostly use, and sending signal to the buy side, and you enabling this capacity for any third party to build a module on top of that, you can, on one hand, innovate, but also disrupt a number of other players in the space. And there's opportunity for anybody to build their methodology into that load balancer before it goes out to any endpoint. And I think that a number of the attendants in the room can actually leverage that as they move forward.
Cool. Awesome. I think that's enough. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for being here, Sean. Thank you for being here, Keith.
Awesome.
All right.